we got the league leaders coming in. So San Diego State, they're really good. Impressed with them. I think the biggest thing I'm impressed with them is how well they did early in the season on the road. But you got to give Winston Shepard a lot of credit for that. His senior leadership has been really, really good. And also with Spencer and Chol and those seniors, they've done a really good job. And it's very similar to my first year where they won 16. Beat us in the last regular season game to go 16-2. They're 14-2 now. So maybe, hopefully, we can add to that. But we're excited about the challenge. I think the biggest thing with our guys is they've seen enough film. They know what they have to do. They know defensively they haven't been as good as we need to be. I think you guys have watched us for 6 minutes. We're really, really good. We're as good as anybody. And then, but it's a 40-minute game, and our guys have to buy into that. And I think they're trying to. I think sometimes they don't realize how hard it is to be good and good defensively. So we held people to 60 points last year. This year we're holding them to 73, and that's not good enough. A lot of it with 60 points last year was we limited possessions. We played at a slower pace, and we're not doing that now. So to be really good defensively, it's a lot of hard work. And I think our guys are understand that after the last 3 games.
This rivalry with San Diego State over the years, obviously one of the key ones in
Right.
the West. How would you kind of describe it and how is it
Well, I
more
think-
intense than a lot of the other matchups? And
Well, I think it is just because what we've done over the Mountain West history. I think this is their 10th championship. I think we've won 8 total, and then we've had some great battles. And I think one thing that we've talked to our guys. I think one thing that they've been really consistent because they guard, and they guard every year, and nothing's changed. And we got to get to the point that we're that consistent defensively to compete at that level. And you got to give them credit to have the record that they have, and they got a good team. But it's I think our guys will be ready. I thought we played really well the last time we played. I thought it was very competitive. So I think our guys are looking forward to it.
Considering how that one ended, this is one of those the guys are looking forward to it. As far as you think they got some extra.
Well, I think the biggest thing, Ben, is I think we got extra. It's just that with a young team, it's a lot with confidence and a lot of momentum. We went out to a 24-9 lead and had a lot of momentum, and then just didn't really push the throttle, and we got comfortable. And I think with a group like this, and let me say this, I really feel for Tim and O. Just because this is me, because we've lost 3 front court players, 3 scholarship players that haven't played this year, and JJ, who gave us valuable minutes last year, who I thought would be able to do it this year. And then Nick left at Christmas, and then Devin Williams, who started 30 games. Those guys, I don't know if they've hit a wall, Van, but I think with practice every day and taking the toll on their bodies and playing every possession, playing a lot of minutes for bigs is not easy. And you try to get those guys rest in practice, but we haven't been able to do that just because of our numbers.
how much of a threat is Winston Shepard? You mentioned him at the beginning.
He's a real threat. You mean offensively?
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing is he's playing really, really physical, aggressive basketball. I mean, he's making plays. He can make plays. He's a good passer, and I think he makes shots when he has to. And he's been able to make plays. He's a terrific defender, but I think just how hard he plays makes the difference.
Obviously, tomorrow night's game's going to have, for the teams, some added emotion and stuff like that. It's going to be one of the bigger crowds of the year. They're hoping. I imagine you're hopeful too. This season, the numbers have been down a little bit, but that crowd this year, have you noticed a difference, or what? Going into the final game of the year, what can you say about the crowds this year with the numbers being slightly down?
I don't think I've noticed it as much as I think you noticed the student section. I don't think I've noticed any of the other. I think the crowds have been good. I think they've been loud. I don't know where we stand now in the top 25, but we're right. I mean, we're right there. So I think this is our last game. So hopefully we'll get a decent crowd, and you know, the guys will be excited, and should be a good contest. But I've only noticed the student part of it. That's
And,
all.
to be clear, I mean, what have you noticed about the student part?
Well, I don't know why or what it is, but I mean, it's, you know, my first year we had really good student section, and then last year it was okay. I think there's just a lot to do. I think there has to be some things that we can do differently to get the students to come. I don't know if you can have students nowadays pick up tickets three days before or a week before and think they're going to do that. I think they should be able to just come to the game and show their ID just like we do at football.
Overall, for the Pitt experience, then not just student section, but when your team needs that pick me up from the crowd, you've seen that this year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we had a good crowd at Fresno. I just think we got it going and it was loud, and then we just had a letdown. I don't think it's ever been I think it's been loud all year. I think the Boise game was loud. I think I think UNLV was I mean, it's been loud. I mean, it's hard not to be loud in the venue we have.
Anything tomorrow will be.
I think it will be. I hope so. It should be, you know, be fun.
When you look at how stacked everything is, you know, like you guys could end up being tied for second again or whatever. I mean, it's just this whole thing seems crazy, doesn't it? As far as
Yeah, I just think after Saturday, I thought we were in the driver's seat if we could have won Saturday, because we would have had the tiebreaker over everybody, except you know, we had Nevada coming back. But you know, you're still, if you can win the last two games, you're still in a pretty good position. The biggest thing is you just don't want to play in the play-in game, but that happened to us last year, and you know, hopefully it's not going to happen to us this year.
Coach, do you feel realistically that you guys are close to solving some issues and you could turn the corner in the next two games of going to Vegas, or it's like a big swing you're going to have to take to get there?
No, I don't think it's a big swing. I think it's like I told them yesterday. We watched the tape, and you know, and Jeff had mentioned after the thing, you know, we took some guys out because they weren't doing what they were supposed to do defensively. And you know, if they don't do that, the thing is when we do what we've asked them to do, it's like I put up on the board before every game. Hey, here's the blueprint. Here's the 6 keys that you have to do. And if you do that, you got a really good chance to win. Now, when we do that, we do a really good job defensively. But when we don't and get off, you know, you can't have 1 or 2 guys off the page, because then it's a trust factor. You know, I didn't know if that guy's going to be there for me. I don't know. So I think a lot of it is trying to get over the hump. A lot of it is, you know, consistent performance defensively. You know, it's like I've said all along, we're not going to have trouble scoring, but our guys have to trust one another to guard. And I think sometimes we get off the scheme or get off what we're trying to do, and that hurts us. Are we close? Yeah, but it has to be a consistent effort on that.
I know turnovers concern at all? I mean, I just looked at the last 4 games, 16, 17, 15, 18. I mean, is that a concern, or is that just kind of a byproduct of other things coming out of the game?
Well, I just think a lot of it is, you know, we've won games with a lot of turnovers. I think there's some that we shouldn't have, some that we're making that, you know, I think the biggest thing is we can't make turnovers on out-of-bounds plays, side out-of-bounds plays. I don't think the press is hurting us as much. And then I think we're trying to make plays. You know, the biggest thing is when you have a team like this that's never played together, you spend a lot of time trying to define roles. And they've either got to accept that or they don't have to accept that. And right now, I still think we have some guys thinking their roles are bigger and better than what they are. And that's not always easy. And I think they haven't found that because it's a new team. And, you know, it's kind of like they're trying to figure that out. And it's been a long season, and they should have figured it out. But when they do play their roles and when they do what they're capable of doing and play to their strengths, we're pretty good. But when we don't, we're just an average team.
Not quite the same sort of senior night as the last 2 where guys were big parts of the program, but but Tim Jacobs in particular got a lot of minutes last year, played a role for you guys on this year's team. Can you talk about Tim Jacobs about to play his final game in the bit?
Well, I think he's one of those kids that you want to have success here. I mean, he grew up in the state. You know, we've known him for a long time. Watched him play since his sophomore, going to his junior in high school. You know, we've always stayed in touch. He played on the same AAU teams with our kids. But he's been a good, he wanted to come here. We kind of recruited him out of Cochise, and he's done everything we've asked him to do. He's done really good in school. He's been a great ambassador. He's been a good senior leader. It's just not, usually the seniors that we have that play a lot. But he's done a good job. I think he's kept everybody accountable. I think he's had great energy, and I think he's the type of kid you want in your program. And I think he's been everything we thought he was going to be.
Did you, when you say he's everything you thought you guys were getting out of him, it's not often a point guard, a walk-on rather, comes in and plays as many minutes as he did last year.
No, but to be honest with you, Jeff, we recruited him knowing that he could do that. I've always known Tim could do it. And I think that was never an issue. I think when we first tried to get Tim, he was a luxury in the sense that we knew that I knew I could play him. I didn't recruit Tim thinking he was going to develop into a Division I player or somebody could play for us. I knew he could play, and he's done that, and he's done a nice job at that.
You mentioned, pulling some guys in the last game that weren't playing their role and that sort of thing. Any changes?
I don't think Let me say that I don't think I meant that, JP. I don't think I meant playing a role. I said playing what we wanted to do defensively, the scheme that we wanted to do defensively. I was talking about how when you have a new team,
Right.
it's hard for guys to settle in a role
Right.
because everybody wants a bigger role. That's just college basketball.
Sure.
I think the thing is that we have mistakes with defensive schemes and guys getting off the same page as the other guys. And then when they do that, then I have to correct them. It's kind of like when you're training a dog. It's they do something in the house and you just. But it's not. It's that simple. They've got to learn how to do things. And then if you don't ever correct them, or there's not a consequence for it, then. And maybe I've waited too long to do that, but I thought we were playing really well. We won 4 straight at a time in the season. We had a pretty good run. We played really good at San Diego State and had a bad situation. But we've played pretty good basketball. The only problem that we haven't done the last 3 games is played defensively. And I'm trying to get them to understand that you have to guard to win. Doesn't matter what your offense does, but we're kind of one of those reverse teams. If we play really good offense and shots are making, then we'll guard like crazy because then we're going to get another chance at it. Instead of, okay, we missed a shot or two, we got to get stops, and that's important because that's what we've done in the past. But, they've got to figure that out, and we've got to figure it out together.
Right. That being said, were there are you making any changes to the
No.
lineup for this one because
No.
of stuff you've seen?
I won't make any changes to the lineup, but I'm going to play people because I think we got to play different people, and I think some of those guys need rest early, so we'll try to get them out early, try to get them rest. But to be honest with you, JB, we've basically created a position for X to play, and he's played as a front court player because of our depth at that position and Tim's minutes and O's minutes, and I think that's really hurt O. I think O's never played this big of a role, and now it's catching up to him with having to practice. Every practice doesn't really get a break, neither does Tim, because of our front court depth. We're playing Mike Nesbitt every possession in practice, and that's hard, and that's not an excuse, but I'm just concerned about that at this point in time, and I've been concerned about it for about 10 days.
When you look at the second half, you guys had it 64-64, kind of that 9-minute mark, and Williams fouled, gets his 4th foul to sit down. But when you look at the final 9 minutes, what stood out? Was it Fresno State making some big plays or mostly defensive errors?
Well, I think the biggest thing, JJ, if you look at the game, we tried to play percentages. We tried to play percentages in that they were shooting 27%, 26% from 3, and Julian Lewis makes 5, and he's a 27% three-point shooter. And then Taylor, who's had a pretty good year, but he's made some shots. He's off the roll. He makes 3. So you got guys. There's 8 of them they make, and they make 10 total. I think the biggest thing is when it was 64-64 with 9 minutes to go, and Tim has to sit down. I think it's as your guys look at it, they're like, well, Tim's got to sit down instead of, hey, we got a guard. We can do this. We'll find offense. And then we just didn't do things. I think at that span, I think Julian Lewis hit one from the right wing. I think Taylor hit one from the left wing, and then we let Marvell Harris have an uncontested 3 at the top. So just little things can hurt you going down the stretch. And That's defensively, and that's, mentally, and, being locked into what you're doing.
Wasn't the biggest play probably when we were down by 5 and Brown went down and got ready
Charge.
to shoot 3 and he offensive foul.
Charge.
Yeah. That was a big play because
Yeah, it was a big play, and that's happened. We're right there, and it's right there. But we had our opportunities. I just think that we have to do a better job. You just can't go in the last 5 or 6 minutes and you've given a team almost 80 points. I don't think we're going to win games if we do that.
going back to senior night too, isn't it strange though that I doubt if we've ever had this where you got 3 guys that are going to be seniors coming out and they've shot a total of 20 shots the whole season. Normally you have the crowd, an extra couple thousand coming in to see like Greenwood. I'm sure a couple thousand people came and
Well, it was sold out. I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing
because of what
well, I think the biggest thing, I hope it happens, but it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's been a year of, we don't have veterans. It's been a year where now next year we'll have growth. Next year we'll have a couple seniors that have been starting. And we're going to add a couple juniors that are playing junior college. So we're slowly getting back to where we have some veterans and some guys that have played. This year was a whole new deal. It was like silly putty. You're trying to mold the silly putty to what you want it to look like, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you try to get it, but I think the biggest thing is these guys have grown and they've learned by fire, if that makes any sense. A lot of these guys, like Tim Williams played at Samford, a lot bigger stage, a lot more notoriety, a lot more pressure, and then a lot more people gunning for him and target on his back. So it's been really hard for those guys, and they've done a heck of a job. But hopefully they'll grow from that and be able to go forward next year and make it better. But we got a lot of basketball left, guys. We got a lot of basketball left, and anything can happen in this league.
Speaking of that, it's a pretty, I think, a wide open tournament. Is one of the widest open that you've seen?
I think it's the widest open tournament in that I don't think there's an NCAA tournament bid that's already been secured in anybody in this league. I don't think anybody's. Even though San Diego State's had an unbelievable run, I don't think they're in the tournament right now. Guys, we were 27-7 my first year coaching, not counting any other years because I'm just talking about when I coached. That was my first year, was 27-7. We were 15-3 in league. We had an RPI that was way up above. It was up there 29-30. 29-30. I'm thinking it was 29-30, and we were 7th seed. If we don't win the tournament, you could look back and say we might not have been in. To be a 7th seed with 27 wins. So I really don't know. I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't looked at it, but I don't think there's one team that's a lock in our conference to get in the NCAA as a large bid right now. And so that's the first time that's ever happened since I've been here, I think.
There was one other one-bid league, or one-bid season, and
Our
2001,
Derice's.
the second season of the Mountain West, but I can't remember what their season
Yeah,
was.
I'm just saying since I've been here.
Since you've been here, not even close.
I think we've always had somebody that's had a bid. I think this is the first year where it's wide open, where anybody can win the league.
Thanks.
You guys good? No, thank you guys. Appreciate it.